We're here with Anthony Lamas in his personal kitchen, and you're making an amazing dish out of your cookbook.
I am. I'm really excited. So thanks for having me, and welcome to my home. Mi casa es su casa.
Thank you, thank you.
I actually have a chapter in there called Mi casa es su casa, family meals, things that I cook here in my home. But this is from our Sweet Endings chapter, and it is just kind of a take on bread pudding. Really, the book is about my Latin flavors, but also using the beautiful things that Kentucky has to offer, so all these ingredients that I was exposed to when I moved here. So here's, we have a farmer that brings us some amazing Kentucky apples. We have some of this Kentucky brown water, known as bourbon, one of the great things of Kentucky. And then these amazing Majescas, which, you know, there's so much history to this, and as Anne said and shared her story, you can tell the quality, you can tell the passion they put into it. They're perfectly done. Even when you cut them, you can see how these marshmallows stay together. See, I cut them up into little sixes. I cut them up into little pieces for the bread pudding, but just look how beautiful that. Even when you cut them, you can tell that these are hand dipped. Yes. You know, and to me, that's a labor of love, and I'm really about that. It's quality first. You know, do something right and great instead of doing too many things, and that's what I love what they do. They focus on something they do great.
And speaking of love, you have to have a lot of love and passion to be a chef, because it's long hours and it's hard work to get up that flagpole and have your own restaurant, which you have with Ceviche. Tell us how you got started.
Well, so you know, as a young kid, I grew up around it. My grandfather and uncle had a restaurant, but I never knew anything about culinary arts. I grew up in Central California. I was born in the LA area. I grew up in Central California. So really, I thought about farming and agricultural science as a career, maybe because I grew up around farms and this major agricultural area. So that was a great way to be introduced to food as an ingredient, because I learned to respect that. And so everything I bring into my restaurant is really is sustainable. We really source everything. We try to source from the best producers and farmers and artisans that we can. And here's an example of bringing something great. So I moved here in '94, and I worked in several restaurants, started to make my name, and 15 years ago, I opened my first restaurant called Jicama, and our lease came up after 5 years, and then so in 2000 I reopened as Ceviche. So we just turned 10 years old. It's been exciting. We were called one of the best restaurants in the South, one of the best Latin restaurants in America. Esquire magazine said if you have time for one stop in Louisville, make it Ceviche. So we're very flattered, very proud. I have an amazing team. And really, you know, my food's kind of changed because my time in Kentucky has introduced me to all these amazing things. So that's why my cookbook is called Southern Heat. There's a little Latin spice to some Southern ingredients. And here we're just gonna do a little twist on my bread pudding.
And this recipe is from your cookbook that you're making today. So tell us, how do you mix it all together?
So right now I have just a French petard, or you can use brioche, whatever bread really. And I've soaked some of it. I went ahead and got it started. So I have a custard here that I've made. You have your eggs and your cream, and then I've added in my sugar and everything in here. Then I have the Majescas here that I cut up. I have some golden raisins, some pecans, some of that great Kentucky bourbon. And then what I have going here is I already started some apples. Okay. So I have some apples going here, butter. I've added some nutmeg, some brown sugar. You can add cinnamon, you can add clove, and salt. I always add a little salt because I think it balances it. I love that salty sweet, and when you think of the caramel, you know, salted caramel, and kind of, so we really mix these flavors. This is gonna be amazing. We're gonna put them into these little cast iron pans, which is really fun. Then you can serve these individually. So here I have my apples that I've sauteed with butter, as I said. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add my bourbon in here. Okay, I'm gonna add my bourbon in there, and you gotta be careful because once you add your bourbon, it can flame up a little bit. And so we'll just cook off some of that. I like to keep some of that bourbon flavor, so I don't want to cook it too much. And then because we're gonna cook, so then I just turn it off. So what I have here is my custard, right? Okay. So I'm gonna add the rest of it in here. I added some just to soak. You know, if you have time, go ahead and soak this for an hour or so. That will be nice because This way it gets real moist, but you see how it's really creamy and moist when this all cooks together. So this cookbook, it's really for the home cook. And that's what we wanted to show. Some of these recipes can be done in your home, in your Kentucky home, right?
Yeah.
Very approachable. And it's really capturing my flavors, but making it very approachable for the home cook. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw my pecans right in there, okay? I'm gonna throw my golden raisins right in there. I love the bite of that. And then you just mix this all up. Then I'm gonna add all this bourbon and apple and brown sugar right in here, and we'll get that mixing as well, okay? So now we have everything all in there. This is beautiful.
So do your kids cook with you?
They do, you know, little things. They like to make their own little snacks. They love things like cucumbers just sliced with a little lemon and red wine vinegar and a pinch of salt. So they'll sit there and peel their own thing. They know how to do certain things. But they do, they really like to be at the table eating, you know. Yeah. So, but they do, they get involved, and they love food. I mean, my kids, you know, the neighbors come over because they want to go to Mr. Anthony's house and eat over here. All the neighbors call me a big kid. When the kids come over, they'll knock on the door and they'll say, "Can Mr. Anthony come out to play?" Because I like to play. I'm a big kid. I was the first grandchild, and there's over 50 of us now in my family. So I felt like I was the big brother to all my cousins, you know. I had 3 younger sisters growing up, and I always wanted a brother, but I had 3 sisters, and then now I have 3 boys. And now I want a daughter, but maybe someone said, you know what, you had 3 sisters growing up, we'll give you all boys.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I get them involved, and they just really are very adventurous eaters. So what we'll do next is, now we'll just build these guys.